Are delicious. Are there any donuts left, Dustin? Oh,
no. Okay.
Hey.
We're gonna
okay.
You need one right now.
It's a brand new day. Hey. Wake up every morning and say it's a brand new day.
with that. But anyway, welcome back. Jumping right in here. You guys missed a little bit. We might talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, welcome back to Never Met a Stranger. Happy to be here again. I don't even know what episode we're on anymore. We're just rolling with it. But again, my name is Israel. I have my wonderful and beautiful co-host with me. If you guys want to go ahead and just.
I am his sister.
Yes, that
from
is.
Another mister.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
I like it.
What about brother from another mother?
I'm brother from another mother. She can't be my brother.
No.
You're.
Yeah, I'm brother from another mother. She's my sister from another mister.
I think we are just going to have to add this in every show.
And I'm the mom, but listen, there was no funny business going on there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't the postman always rings twice or nothing.
Yeah, look.
We're family, but
I swear I've been funny.
Well,
no. Family that you choose, and I choose
and
Israel
yes,
every
I love
day.
that. Love that. Friends are nothing but the family that you choose.
Right?
I love my family, but I had no option. And you learn to love them.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about he's looking
love
at
you, mom.
me.
Love you, dad.
I had no option because you were feeding us that whole week. So, yes, and I'm happy to be here. I love these two co-hosts over here because, well, for one, I love them like, son and daughter, although Callie really is my daughter. And,
yes.
And so, is the one I chose.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I'm adopted, but I'm not adopted from.
And I love Israel's mother. But listen, we can go on and on about this. We talked about how Callie was the common denominator that brought us all together, and then told the story of how she met with Iz. And if you didn't catch that, go back and watch it because it's a great little story, right?
It is.
Yeah. So we're here. Never Met a Stranger, the podcast. Man, do we love this, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, this is so fun.
I mean, how great did it feel to do some shows and to know that, just by this little tiny thing that we're doing in this world, we could incite some change.
Oh yeah,
right?
It's so, like you said, it's something so small, right? You don't even think about it, and oftentimes we're done. I'm like, oh yeah, we've been talking for like an hour. What the case is? I'm like, we're just.
Chilling.
Right.
We're just chilling. And that's the best part about it.
Doing what we normally do.
So so Kelly, I also want to double back on your challenge from last week because I think that's really the big thing is that we can sit here, the three of us, and talk for hours because we always do, and that's really fun. And the same with Javi and Dustin. Shout out. Javi and Dustin, who are really, they are the passion behind the project. I love these guys.
There's a lot of work that goes into this.
You have no idea.
They do a lot of work.
Right.
We appreciate them very much.
We do. We super love them and dig them. The thing that I wanted to mention was that we are like-minded and that we believe that it's a bad news world. We want to bring a little good news.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just quickly want to say again to all of you, thank you. Because this originated with, wanting to tell the positive stories.
Show the good.
I was in a car accident, couldn't finish my book. Callie came up with the idea of a podcast to tell the great stories of all the people that I met. I didn't meet strangers. They were just friends I hadn't met yet. And once I met them, they changed my life. And I think that that's how we all started. But then it became something pretty amazing.
So much more.
Right?
Yeah.
So then it became us saying, we can change the world. We can change the way, maybe just planting a little seed can change the way that people think.
Exactly.
The way that you think, the way that you see the world or see people in the world.
Yeah.
More commonalities than diversities because we're all people.
Yeah, like you were talking about that story that obviously the Superman story, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but just about how you taking the time to just witness that act changed you, right? Mm-hmm. And you sharing that's going to impact somebody else and inspire them hopefully to see the good. And just that you start talking about ripple effect, that butterfly effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Butterfly flaps its wings and a hurricane happens off the coast of Florida, whatever the case is. But it's about that. It's about doing those small things and just having that positivity and hoping that it spreads because you know it can.
You know, I
Exactly.
really, really wanted to do the good news and a bad news world segment just so that these guys could sing that always look on the
No.
bright side of
my
life and
God.
whistle.
I'm not.
But if you missed that, I swear to you,
Do a whistle without thinking of
I'm-
that.
it was as epic as the Bohemian Rhapsody in Wayne's World.
It
Listen.
was epic. I don't know if it was a good epic, but it was epic for sure. It's memorable. How about that? It's
Yes.
memorable. It's
Yeah,
very,
it
very
was.
memorable.
that one.
Right?
No, it's very, very memorable.
Okay, well, since we're not going to sing it,
We're going to change our mindset that we did a great job.
That's right. There we go.
We can whistle.
We were fantastic.
you guys whistled the heck out of
we
it.
did. We did. We rolled
You
it.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, we could have gone with the whistle while you work.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but enough about whistling. What was the challenge from last week?
What
I
was the
think it was
challenge
just
from
those
last week?
3 steps. Just.
Oh, I am thankful for.
Yeah,
I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for.
Right?
Right.
So,
I'm thankful that I can whistle.
Right.
so we challenged
Mhm.
everyone, all of our friends, we challenged you to start each day differently
Mhm.
by being thankful, by getting out of bed and with your first 3 steps saying, I am thankful for, I am thankful for, I am thankful for.
Mhm.
And I would be curious to know who did it and if it really did
Ooh.
change
Yeah.
the way you start your day.
Yeah. Even
Really?
just like again like.
Make sure
I
you
got
put it in the comments.
I know I didn't do it every day, but I know that just doing that for sure is going to be something that, just changes your mindset to start the day.
Right.
Because I'm usually one where I wake up and I'm like, oh, it's today, the day I call in.
Yeah.
I roll over and I'm like, okay, no, I can't. My alarm, I'm very good. My alarm goes off and I just roll over and get out of bed because if I don't and have that discussion, I might lose sometimes and I don't want to.
I try to start mine off with affirmations. So exactly what you just said.
just,
you
yeah,
know.
jump
I
into it.
read
And
a
I think it
quote
worked.
that said,
Mhm.
positive living is getting up an hour earlier so that you can have one more hour of life to live.
Ooh, okay.
Could we say positive living is going to bed an hour later?
Oh.
So you could have one more life?
We could
I
say
mean,
that, but
let's do
that's
that,
not the
'cause
quote.
Positive living
I'm
is
just saying,
taking a nap during
I'm
the
just-
middle of the day. How
Yes.
about that?
Oh my God. Yes.
Yes.
Naps.
Especially when you are a toddler parent.
I am
Oh.
king nap time, people. Well, I do. My daughter goes to sleep. I'm
King
in
nap
bed.
time.
When they
I am in bed.
sleep
I
when
think
they
that should
sleep,
be on a
and I
shirt.
meant it.
And here he is, folks. Put your hands together. It's King Nap Time.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna have so many taglines for
I'm
merchandise.
serious.
Right,
No,
right.
I can't because I need my sleep.
Here's the ironic thing in life that when you have small children, all you wish is that you could sleep. You know, that you wish that they would grow up so that you could sleep
Mhm.
because you don't get any sleep.
Especially when you're single parent.
Ironically, when your kids grow up, you can't sleep. You have the
Well, yeah.
time to do it, but you sleep
And you wake
less
up
as you get
early.
older,
Yes.
and it's like you're robbed.
Yeah.
I've been
Like,
robbed.
napping should be a hobby or something.
No, for sure. Like napping, I think it is a hobby of mine. Not all of them. Like there's some
Catching
things that
Z's. That's
catching
what
Z's.
I do.
I usually the reason I nap is because I have stayed up late the night before, actually indulging in my hobbies. Right. So I
Okay.
love to read. I'm a reader. Right. So for me, like when I put my daughter to sleep and I actually put my wife to sleep.
Yeah.
Love you, babe. I'll stay up and I'll just
Shout out.
read. It's my.
Now,
How many books have you
now
actually
listen.
read?
Oh, thousands at
I
least.
really, really honestly like. I do not know.
And do you have
it's
to have a book in front of you, or like, can you read off a tablet? Like, what do you do?
Okay, I have books in front of me for sure. I could read off of my phone. I have Kindle up on my phone.
Mhm.
I'll share this with you guys because I discovered this recently. I've been reading in obviously all my entire life, and I have finally reached like my final stage of evolution, in that I can now read like 3 books at a time.
Stop.
I'm not joking. So I have a book at home that is an actual book that I will
Okay.
read, and then I have 2 different books on my phone on my Kindle that I could read separately, and I could follow. I'm like,
I
oh my
need
god.
his time of day, man.
I'm
Now-
like, when did this happen? Like I've
But you're not saying
love the
simultaneously,
approach of
as in you
reading
read a
at
page
one
of
time.
one book, then go to the next and next.
I mean,
You're
like,
just saying that.
I have 3 books that I'm currently working on right now, and I read them at different times.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But
Depending on what you're feeling.
Yeah,
like.
depending on
No,
what I'm feeling.
you're a
middle of the day.
multitasking reader.
Yeah, I am, and I did not realize I could do this until about a few months ago, and I'm like, oh, this is what. and I
Life
lose.
changing?
I lose nothing from each of them because I remember where each one left off, and I can go back and pick it up
Wow.
like it was no big deal.
That's impressive.
I love that, but it's
what I'm reading
comparable
about
to
now.
like, let's say, watching 3 shows and
Exactly.
following the storyline.
Exactly. Yeah.
You could do it.
And
It's
that-
a little time consuming.
That was kind of like the inspiration for it. Right? I just think, like, I was reading this. I'm like, okay, let's put this one down. I picked up another one, and I'm
I
like,
feel like organization, you have gotten control of your thoughts enough to be able to organize them
That's
into
impressive.
what I call, what is it called? Pillars? No. You said it the other day, work. They don't want you to only associate with people in your column. What is it?
I have no idea.
Oh, come on.
I
I can't
know
think
what
of crap.
I don't know.
So here's the
Job
deal.
description?
The car accident not only, gave me CRPS, but also I had a traumatic brain injury, no short-term memory. I could tell you everything from like when I was 5, like, long-term memory.
Yes.
I feel like short-term memory loss, like if I smoke pot all the time, same thing would happen. So it's not that
I
bad.
feel like Finding Dory.
But it is silos. Get out
Yes, yes,
la 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 la. Where's the balloons and stuff in my new car? I won. So you have organized your brain successfully so that you can actually silo the books and then not have them cross over. That's a beautiful thing.
It is wonderful. But it's just like I love it. It's one of those things. I now that I realize I could do it, I'm going to do it all the time. But my biggest problem is that I can't only. I love to read, but I love to do other things too, and I will sacrifice other things to read.
Man.
And I think I told this last time I would get in trouble and I'd get grounded outside.
Yes.
So I try to get outside. So I try to golf too. I love golf.
Oh,
Right,
That's my thing.
took me for the first time
I
not too
did.
long ago.
You
That
took
was
Callie for
super
golfing,
Yeah.
and your little girl who was a
I
beauty.
did.
Yes,
I did.
it's
She's
so
adorable.
fun.
We got her golf clubs this year. My mom got her golf clubs this year. So we take her out to the driving range, and she has a great time. I have videos, which she just melts my heart.
She is so cute.
Now, let me ask you this. Let's get back to the topic at hand. Any of the books you're reading and simultaneously reading any of them, positive, like self-help type of?
No, see, for me, like, I'm not a huge self-help book reader, honestly.
Yeah.
Did
that's
you,
what I'm
have you ever read Purpose-Driven Life?
Yes, I've read A Purpose Driven Life.
need
I've
Oh,
read,
Callie wasn't the
Yeah,
one
I'm
that,
the one that
okay.
read it.
I've read a
I
few
should
John C.
read that
Maxwell
one.
books,
Yeah.
books about leadership and teamwork. I don't read books about self-help necessarily, but I do read like articles about like, okay, things that I should consider. So I get my self-help through like information. I love just knowing things.
Knowledge.
The reason I asked that is because we talked about, and we've talked about ongoing, is that, to make change even within yourself, it's kind of one of those eat the frog situations where you just have to do it repetitively, and then it becomes part of who you are. Changing negative, I'll tell you to eat the frog. Changing a negative to a positive action is just deciding to make the change and then continuing to do it and practice it, right? So you don't have to read a book to do that. You just have to decide you're going to do it. So back when I used to do sales trainings, I did this training called Eat the Frog, which was weirdly my most popular. And people would always bring me frog things. Now, I think they did not really understand the concept of the frog, because the frog is the worst possible thing.
Okay, and can I interject here? Because it is the worst.
The worst possible thing.
I don't get me wrong. I'm not a foodie. I enjoy a lot of different things. The idea of actually physically eating frog.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. So it's
Yeah.
confusing.
No.
It's confusing now.
Frog legs.
Let me tell you what Eat the Frog is.
Okay, break it down for me.
If you can visualize your day as a plate of, let's make it easy, a plate of donuts. Okay.
Yes.
And there are delicious donuts. Are there any donuts left, Dustin? Because I'm going to talk my way into being hungry again.
Yes, no, on the donuts.
Oh.
No. Okay.
Dang.
Well, okay.
You one right now.
No, it's not, people.
Dust in the wind.
That was snitching.
All right. Okay. So if you can picture, I got to talk myself into something else now. If you can picture your plate for the day with
Steak.
delicious
Give me steak.
pastries,
Okay.
then but you love everything on that plate.
Mm-hmm.
Some things you love more than, like, there's a couple of things like you are like, and then then you go down to that frog, and there's a frog on your plate. And nobody, and I mean nobody, even, I don't know, what's that guy's name that we used to go in the wilderness and eat crap? Even him.
Anthony Bourdain? No.
No, but yeah. Anyway, so he didn't even want to eat a frog because they are slimy and nasty and listen, the princess chicks didn't even want to kiss the frog to get a prince. So the frogs are nasty. All right, there's a frog on your plate. The whole concept of eat the frog is this: when you get up in the morning and you look at your plate full of yummy, delicious pastries and you see that frog, if you do not immediately eat that frog, then your whole day will change because you will be dreading the frog all day.
Yeah.
You will procrastinate, and you will not even eat the second to the last thing.
It'll be weighing on you.
You know, and it'll ruin you.
Okay.
But
I'm with you.
But if you decide every single day you're going to do the thing that you like the least, the thing that you hate, if you do it first, the rest of your day is cake, pastries. It's cake.
I like it.
Okay. So let's say a snooze button. That's what reminded me.
Yeah. Really?
People who hit the snooze button should stop. Stop it right now. Stop it. It is a frog.
It's getting intense.
Yeah. I said just stop it now. That's how I used to talk to my kids. I said stop it. I still talk to them that way. But if you're hitting the snooze button, you're doing yourself a disservice, because if you were to look up the research, you would see that if you go back to sleep, you're more tired than if you were to just get out of bed.
I agree with that.
If you were to, I haven't even set a clock, an alarm in 20 years probably.
Really?
I have an internal one that goes off long before. I know. I'm sorry. That's what I'm talking about. I want to sleep, but I can't.
Any restful sleep because
I have that. They're called babies.
Okay, but listen. It takes some effort. But if you eat that frog and you never hit the snooze button again, somehow you will find me and you will thank me, because it will change your life. You will immediately get out of bed. You'll feel refreshed. You will have eaten that frog, and the rest of the day will be cake, I tell you. So when I used to do sales trainings, it would be like, call that client that you tell them that you messed up their schedule. Call that, whatever it is, make a list. And if you don't have a to-do list for your day, you got to start that right now. Structure. And how do you know where you need to go if you don't know where you are?
Well, okay, so
stop it.
This is the problem that I have.
Preach.
I agree with you 1,000,000%. Eat the frog. Actually, I don't call it that. I just live my life that way a little bit.
Okay.
On a grander scheme of things, right? So for me, my weekends are usually like Saturdays are my busy day. It's my get up and go do it. Like I want to clean house. I want to do grocery shopping. Mm-hmm. I want to do all the things. If I need to get some projects at the house, that's what I want to do. That's Saturdays.
Your to-do list.
If I need to schedule an event, I want to schedule it for my Saturdays. Sundays are the day that I want nothing to do with anything. Traditionally speaking, I'm serious.
Listen, even God took a day of rest. Exactly. I'm not saying you have to eat the frog daily.
I know, but what I'm saying is, for me, my Sundays are usually like, I don't want to schedule anything. My wife, she agrees with most of my idiosyncrasies, so she tries to schedule things on Saturdays for that reason.
If I were to say to you, Callie, what do you feel overwhelmed by? And, you can think about it, but it might be, I work all day and then I come home and the house is cluttered up with toys or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. It's overwhelming and it will bring you downtown, Charlie Brown. Mm-hmm. But if you were to eat the frog and get up a half an hour early and pick all the toys up and start your day that way. So now I tried to do this many times with both my kids. Mm-hmm. Never go to bed until the house is clean. Mm-hmm. You have to pick it all up the night before, put it all away. And so what ends up happening is they all go to bed and then I go out and do it. Oh. But I can't anymore. I can't even use my hands. So you got to get with it and eat the frog. But my point in telling you this is it will change your life. Now, with the Never Met a Stranger theme, it's the same. The frog might be something like, I'm shy and I don't know how to talk to strangers. It intimidates me. Or maybe your frog is, you know what? My life is already so damn hectic that I can't find a minute to do a random act of kindness.
Yeah.
You notice how I work damn in? When I was growing up, I couldn't cuss. We had to spell all the cuss words.
No, yeah, that's my
Or
life.
say it
We-
like
we
it
would
was
say,
that.
HE double hockey sticks.
HE double toothpicks.
Yes, that was my childhood
And
for sure.
we would say, I'm going to kick your BUT. And then I would yell out, it's BUTT, you idiot. You know, anyway.
Of course.
Or that's how you disguise it.
as children
I
do.
didn't
And
add
then
extra tea. I
then
could
they
get
would
in
beat me
trouble.
up. Yeah. But if that is what is plaguing you, if that's the frog on your plate, don't let it stop you. Small changes are still okay, right?
Mhm.
Even if it's not an act, even if it's just a way, changing the way you think. Remember this when I told you that positive thinking is 100%. When you get to that sunrise, sunset, what was the story I told you?
Oh
don't
god, I remember. I think, changing perspectives, and it's not sunset, it's moonrise.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Moonrise.
Wait, you got to tell that one more time.
So it is, if you're 100%, what you're working towards, baby steps, but you're working to get to this place, which is 100%, the glass is half full,
Mhm.
always.
Mhm.
And that would be when you look outside and you see the sun rise, and then you see the sun going down. It's not a sunset, it is a moonrise.
Yes.
And it takes practice. It's a lot of frog work. You got to put in the frog work,
a lot of
folks.
frog leg work
Guys
there.
wonder who
You
I think
can't just
after.
do it
There you
overnight,
go.
you know. But I mean, I feel like I'm obnoxiously optimistic.
Yeah.
You know, I
That's
mean,
a
I
good
am.
I
mindset.
mean, let's be honest. You're just obnoxious to begin with.
Ooh.
Right. Exactly.
No, but optimistic.
I feel like
for
I'm in the
sure.
middle of something.
No, definitely not.
No,
We
no.
love Mom.
What I you know what I am. Here's what I am. I am 100% girl.
Okay.
Do you get
Okay.
what I'm
You
saying?
dive in.
I'm
Heart on your
100%.
sleeve.
I believe this, that if it's worth doing,
It's worth doing well. It's worth
Ooh.
doing
not just worth
everything.
doing well, worth doing 100%.
With purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you give 100%, that's your best, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. So I used to tell Callie this. Callie played sports, and she would, she had some coaches,
I had some
you know,
coaches.
and thank goodness for self-restraint, or I'd be in prison. No, I'm just kidding. But I always just say to her, did you play your best? Did you give your best?
Always.
If you gave your best, if you played your best,
Mhm.
then there's nothing more you could have done, right?
Exactly.
So you
You
talk
can
about
only control what you can control.
you're talking about Callie, and I remember being in college with her, and I'm out at football practice, and we're just doing what we're doing, and the softball team is over there, and they're doing their warm ups, and without fail, they have to do. You guys are running to
Yeah.
the trees. Where was
It was like a lap around the whole school. Or
yeah,
something.
yeah, and without fail, you have 20 girls all running at the same pace. Like, okay, cool. And here's Callie in the front, calling
Overachiever.
all of them. And I'm just like, and without fail, like, seriously, like, we're on the football field, and like, and there she goes again, man. Like, man, like,
You know what it
she
was?
makes all of them look bad. We just like,
Listen.
I wanted to get it over
I
with.
know.
Eating
You
the
wanted-
frog. I ate
Eating the frog.
Yes.
Here's what I'll tell you
They
about.
ran slow. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
no,
know they did.
I want to.
Here's what I'll tell you about Callie Hoffman. When she joined the National Guard, the Army National Guard, you were a Mike 88. Was that it?
Oh,
88 Mike. 88
A
Mike.
truck driver,
A truck driver.
Okay.
Why was she a truck driver? Because they said,
transportation
girl,
operator.
but they said, you are 5'0" and a girl. No. And Callie said,
They
yes,
really
I
said
will.
that.
Yes, I can.
Mhm.
And so she was. But when we went to watch her graduate from basic training in Missouri,
Mhm.
Fort Leonard Wood. Yeah. You know how I remember that? Because my father was in the Army, and he was, what's the one down south? Bakersfield? What?
Camp Pendleton?
Well, wherever you, so Callie basically walked in his footsteps.
Mhm.
He was at Fort Leonard Wood. Callie was at Fort Leonard Wood. It was some other place. I'll have to think of it.
Yeah, I forgot the name.
Yeah.
You guys got me.
And I'll never forget a letter that Callie wrote me when she was in basic, and she said, "Mom, it's hard, and And I don't know if I can make it, but sometimes when it gets really hard, I can feel Grandpa marching beside me. And my mother was still alive at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Oh."
I think he did the same job as I did.
He did.
Yeah.
And
Which is ironic, isn't
he,
it? I didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's how
he
I picked
was
it,
he did, but then he was a sniper shot, or what is it called?
infantryman?
Marksman.
Marksman. But then he anyway, he ended up being put into behind the lines.
Shout out to our veterans, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Thank you
yeah.
for your
So
service.
so Callie was an overachiever. When we went to her graduation, first of all, I didn't even recognize her. She was like all muscle.
Make it through
Yeah.
basic training. You
That's
can't.
swole.
Make
So
sure
it was my friend Shar and her brother Jordan, and we went to her graduation. Now, Callie was always a big competitive PT person,
Yes.
and so she got perfect score on your PT, right?
Mm.
So all the people with the perfect score PTs were lined up, and so I'm telling my son Jordan, who's on the camera, by the way, that's a funny story.
I've never
So
heard that
Jordan's
one.
videotaping.
We'll put a pin in that one. We'll put a pin in that one.
Jordan is videotaping the one and only time my daughter will graduate from basic training. Her teenage brother had the camera, and okay, let's tell this. So
Okay.
then he's like, I'm like, okay, Callie's gotta be over here somewhere. It was like this: tall guy, Callie, tall guy, and she was like.
Yes.
But the funny part of the story is when we went back to watch the video, it was all girls.
What?
He videotaped girls' butts and girls and boobs and all kinds of girl stuff. That was
How
nothing.
old was he at this point?
He was in high school freshman.
Yes.
And
Almost raging.
the
He
whole
was focused on the important stuff as far as he was concerned.
here's Callie. This is Callie, and this is it. My graduation, and she's trying
God.
to kill him over the seat in the car.
Oh God.
And he's like this. What? What?
So he got none of the graduation.
None.
None of the graduation.
None.
Oh.
Oh.
Sounds about right, though.
That's
It was like
Shout out to my brother.
This is giving me the hobby. This is giving me that joke you told earlier today. Like, was it between a pickpocket and a?
yeah.
that
Oh
one.
my
Okay,
gosh.
I don't think
I
we
said-
did that on air.
I mean, we thought he was just gonna veer the camera, and then we watch enough of it, and it would go back.
No.
There was not 1 minute of that graduation on that whole thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was yeah, but it was. It's
You know
funny.
what? He was dedicated to his mission. We could say
Mission
that.
complete. What do you
He was-
mean?
All, this is what he
was
wanted to do.
dedicated.
He wanted
100%.
100%.
100%.
Ate the frog and videotaped.
The only
he
thing-
videotaped what he
The
wanted.
only thing he wanted to do the whole time we were there is find a White Castle. Now, I believe it's because we didn't have White Castle in
The restaurant
California.
chain?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, White Castle back then, we didn't have them. But
Look,
it was an Eastern sort of Midwestern
Yeah.
thing. Anyway, he knew there was White Castle, and I think Harold and Kumar went to White Castle. I don't
Yeah.
really know, but
Mm-hmm.
he wanted a White Castle, so we looked everywhere for White Castle the whole time we were there.
Yeah.
Finally, we found one,
Was it-
and I was
this
like, "This is it." They were little tiny burgers, and like what's the Eddie Murphy? And then my mom said, "You want a hamburger from McDonald's? I'll make you a hamburger." And she fried it up with some big old pieces of onion and stuck it on some white bread, and grease is all running down my.
Yes.
And they're all eating their Big Mac, and I'm out here crying. And eating yeah, that's funny. All right, so Callie is competitive, and that's why she was running out
Oh my God.
ahead. Yeah, eating the frog, girl.
It really was. It's one of those memories of someone that will always be imprinted in my brain. When it comes to Callie specifically, just watching her run and do all that. Like, I knew she was physically fit at the time, but it was like pure dedication. She's like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it hard.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, because mind you, it's like 110 degrees out in Killeen, in the middle of nowhere. And I'm in
Yes.
my pads, and I'm like, there's no way in God's name you could convince me to sprint for that long in that heat with a smile on my face. And her blonde hair's just whipping.
Yeah.
She's just going.
I wish
She
I
does.
had
Nah.
Get out of my way.
Nah.
Well, so I'm uber competitive,
Yes.
you know. In fact, we all talk about I'm not materialistic, but I am driven to succeed.
Yes.
And it's
Which is
not
not a bad thing
it's
to
not
have,
really a
you
money
know?
thing. It's a competitive thing. But I had 3 brothers, and I was the only
Yeah.
girl,
Speaking
so
of that,
I
you
was
have any
very
stories about.
very competitive. So I was writing the book, and one of the stories that I put in the book, there's not very many stories in the book. Superman story,
Yeah.
and then the loop, the girls in the loop story, and then the story of the little girl the high school girl crossing the street. I didn't talk to those people. I didn't meet them, but they changed my life. So, when you're in school, there are cliques, and I
Yeah.
really despise cliques. I think that
Me too.
that cliques are hurtful, and it's just another word for bully. But
Big in.
I remember I was just so in the town of Chowchilla where I grew up, and then where I moved back to. Even though I was in radio on the air in Fresno, I moved the kids back to Chowchilla because it's a nice small town, and I love Chowchilla.
It was a good move.
Yeah. And so in Chowchilla, there's one main street, and there's the schools, and
Literally called Main Street.
and
It's called Main Street.
it's called Robertson
Well, we
Boulevard.
call
Yeah,
Oh,
but
if you guys call
there's
Main Street,
That's what we
that's
say.
small town.
but
USA
there's
for
one
sure.
stoplight. There was one stoplight.
Yeah.
Okay, and that one stoplight had a crossing to the school, and so you saw the kids. So I was sitting there waiting for the light, or maybe they didn't have a light there, but it was crossing guard. But anyway, I saw to my right this total, cliche clique.
Like Mean Girls.
Yeah, the Mean Girls, and they're all whipping their hair like you said, Callie did.
Yeah.
I think they were whipping theirs for a different reason. Look, on their phones, all dressed to impress, and then a couple of guys that hated to be there, but they
Were they up to
were
no
with the
good?
girls, right?
Of course.
And I just looked over and I was like, you. And then I turned my head to the left and I saw a girl who had stringy hair and glasses, and completely, you just knew that the clothes were hand-me-down and they didn't fit right. And she had her fist balled up and she was walking stiff as a board. And that's why I noticed her. She was walking across the street and I was like, oh no, okay.
This is going to be bad.
This is going to be because the clique is here.
Yeah.
And that's why she's so rigid.
Yeah.
And she just kept her eyes down, and I was just like, just walk faster, run, right, But no, she didn't say a word, and she tried to go around, but they stepped out and blocked her and started making fun of her.
Oh, no.
And it broke my heart, honestly,
Yeah.
There's nothing I could do. I could not intervene,
But
but
you're sitting in a car, so.
But it reminded me of when I was 10 years old and my father. So my parents were very poor. My dad was shot 8 times in World War II and lived with a bullet in his shoulder. And he was a disabled veteran. And my mom was blind, classified legally blind. And we were very poor, so we all had to work. And that I'm so super thankful for that. But my dad, I came home from school and my dad had bought me this little fuzzy coat that was the color of coffee with a lot of creamer, and it had 2 big, huge silver buttons. And I loved this coat. I loved it. I loved it so, so much. He bought it at a yard sale, and I put it on, and I'm daddy, and oh my God, and I just loved it. And then I wore it to school.
Oh, no.
And older girls than me, and popular girls, little girl looks at me and says, oh my God, are you wearing my coat that my mom sold at a yard sale?
Oh.
I was humiliated
Yeah.
and I was embarrassed, and I went home and I took that coat off and I hung it in the closet and I never wore it again. And you know what? I cried because I could see my dad confused. Like he could see me going out with my old coat and the new one hanging, but he never asked me.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I knew he was disappointed in me because he had to have known it was for some reason like that.
Right.
And years later, ironically, I saw that coat again in a box of stuff that my mom was selling at a yard sale.
Oh, wow.
And I picked it up and I hugged it and I just said, God, please, the next girl that gets this, make her stronger
Yeah.
than me,
Yeah.
you know, because there's no shame in parents who love you,
Yeah.
right? So I started thinking about that and that click and how it just, you know, and so I couldn't help that little girl, but I wanted to say, it's going to be okay. It's just a raisin.
Yeah.
It's just a raisin in the cereal bowl of life. It's not the whole bowl. It's nothing. It's insignificant. And the
Yeah.
older that you get, the more you'll realize that mean girls, they don't always have it easy because God has a way of evening things out, you know? I went to a reunion where the mean girls, they didn't know I was in the bathroom and they were all, and they're talking about how their husbands were cheating on them and they had to
Oh,
have plastic
wow.
surgery and blah, blah, blah.
I don't know.
And accidentally kind of laughed or something, I think. And then they were like, who's in there? And I came out and I said, that's what you get in.
No.
I did.
Oh God.
If I would have been,
like her.
Callie's daughter, I would have went,
God.
nah, 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 nah,
I know.
nah.
That's Skylar walks around the
Oh.
house.
Because it is very rare in this life that you actually get to be there when what goes around comes around,
For sure. But you know what?
right?
Why do people bully people?
But you know what? I'm not proud of myself for doing that. However, what I wanted to say to that little girl was this, that the mean girls will not always have it easy, you know?
Mhm.
That this is a small, small thing, like a raisin in a cereal bowl of life. But I did, you know, the only thing I could do, and that was I prayed that God would send some angels, but not just any angels.
Mhm.
Angels in hand-me-down robes and
Mhm.
yard sale wings,
Yeah. Ooh.
I like it.
right?
Yes.
Because
So I'm sorry.
oh no, I was just
I'm-
gonna say because this is what I know. We're not alone. It doesn't matter, you know. It doesn't matter how bad life seems. You know, it is just a raisin. It is just a raisin in the cereal bowl of life.
Where did you get that phrase from? Raisin cereal life, because that is something that
I just made it up because when my children, my son and daughter, my son who you just met,
Yes. Yeah.
shout out to Jordan. Sorry, that's the first story I told you about you. There are lots of good things about Jordan. We'll tell later. When they were growing up and got to high school age, everything was a drama. It was a daily drama. And I mean, you know, I have a life full of drama. If I stop short, drama hits me right in the butt. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I don't have any, I'm not at a loss for drama. So, but their daily drama was too much. And so finally I said to them, if you will not remember this in 5 years,
Let it go.
Yeah.
it is not worth
Let
the
it
time
go.
today.
Let it go.
Let it
Me
go.
as a teen.
Let
Yeah,
it go. Yeah.
yeah. It was long before Frozen. If Frozen would have been out, I would have whipped into song. Let it
That's
go.
all. Please no. Please no.
So I had to
He was
say,
right along with
Please
that
no.
one.
I had a lot of different analogies when they were growing up, and I'm an analogy
Yes.
kind of gal. But you
The
know,
things I get.
all your pots are on boil.
Mhm.
This is why you're overwhelmed.
Mhm.
You think that you know you need to pull the pots off the stove, but no. What you need to do is turn the fire down.
Yes.
Give it a stir. You know what I'm saying? If you
A lot
don't,
of
everything's
analogies.
going to burn.
Right.
A lot of analogies going on over here.
Right.
Yeah.
But this one
whole
happened to
life.
be
Full life.
this
You
this
can
one
look where I
happened to
get it
be
from.
right. The raisin. It's just a raisin in a cereal bowl of life. Did I give you the wink? Get it? Life with a cereal. Anyway, but because if you won't remember this in 5 years, you do not need to throw that bowl of
No,
cereal
like-
away. You need to just pluck that little raisin out
Yeah.
or eat it. Eat the raisin. Eat the frog.
Eat the frog.
Eat the cereal.
And again, when it comes to that part, like for sure, like I know that's something that, I'm a very, very mellow individual. Like, yeah, I don't let a lot of things get to me too much. And part of it is kind of that mindset you're talking about where this isn't going to matter in 5 minutes, people. Like, if it's not going to
Yeah,
matter in
for
5
real.
minutes, why am I going to sit here and get emotionally invested and all hung up and tied up and angsty and just like, no. Did I want to go there? I want it to. No. Accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Process it. Learn from it.
Let
of
it
course.
go. Yeah.
Don't say no. Yes.
Mhm.
We'll
Yes.
let it go.
Let it
And then just
go.
move on, right? Move on and
Yes.
take what you can and then just push forward. Because if you sit here and just
And
let
harp on it. Yeah.
it harp on it and you'll dwell on it. And next
It
thing
almost
you know,
makes it drag along more.
it does.
You know
it
what I
does.
mean?
It
It's
prolongs
like a
your
run-on
suffering.
sentence. I
Yeah.
love that.
So,
then
can I tell the story of the 5 year?
I don't remember which one that is. Shoot, I hope it's good.
Well, it is just one of those things where as a mother, everything that you were telling your kids could have been just BS because you're just making it up as you go. But Callie was sitting in the car with me, and for whatever reason, I still had an ex-boyfriend of hers on my Facebook. And on my notifications, it popped. No, it wasn't Isaac. It wasn't. Oh, don't wait, Westburn.
No, okay,
I wasn't. It wasn't. Okay. Anyway, it popped up that it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it popped up that it was his birthday. Now, this boy was her whole reason to exist back in that time.
Mm-hmm.
I love hard.
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah, she does.
And picky and protective of my energy.
But
there you go.
But when she was going through the breakup, it was one of those things where, I'm never going to get past this because heartache sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There's no medicine or bandage for that.
Yeah.
So 5 years later, his birthday pops up, and I say to her, today is whatever it was.
Birthday.
No, I said, today is blank.
Oh, yeah.
Why is that? Why is that an important day? Callie's like, I don't know, Mom. You're off your meds? No. But she's like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know. And I'm like, really? Let me say the date again. I don't know, Mom.
Yep.
Oh, really? Because that is blank's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who is your whole world 5 years ago.
Yep.
You don't even remember his birthday.
Yep.
And Mom scores the winning touchdown because 5 years later, she didn't even remember this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right? That's all it was. That's where it all came from.
I never like to remember him.
I know.
Side
You know what?
Don't we all?
Again, mind you, I really don't know who we're talking about right now, so I'm waiting for after the episode to get the information because I know I'll remember. But in the meantime, I'm just going to be here in the dark.
Someone we went to college with.
Oh, that limits it down.
That one.
You know what?
I think I know. I could guess. I think I could guess.
Yes, don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Not doing it.
Yes.
Not doing it.
No, you can't. You can't do it because,
We got to leave a little mystery out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
But
snitch.
Yeah.
I'm
but
snitching.
you know who you are.
I'm snitching, but I'm just saying.
Do it, Callie.
I'm going to confirm
Do it.
after the fact.
But you know who you are.
Who you are.
You are just a raisin in my cereal of life.
Oh, God.
And I ate that frog every day with that guy.
Yeah. Ew. Yeah. Well, anyway. So I think as parents, you just do the best that you can. You know what I mean? I was a single mom raising two kids and trying to. I felt like it was a super important job. It was the most important thing I was ever going to do. And so, I didn't date the whole time I was raising my kids.
This is true.
My mom
She
didn't
wouldn't.
either.
Yeah.
My mom, again, from the time my parents got divorced.
I'm going to shout out to your mom because your mom is a beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful
A rock
person.
star.
I love her.
Yeah, love you, Mom.
If I could be surrounded by this one and that one.
You're good. But yeah, no, so she never dated anybody while we were, younger. I think she mom didn't start getting another boyfriend until I was 23 or
Out the
something like
house?
that. Yeah, out the house and trying
You're
to
the
live
baby.
out the house. And trying
You
to
know
live
what? And it is not. Let me just say, it is not an easy thing to not date really in your prime dating time. When you try to date when you've raised your kids and they've graduated from high school and you're 50, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't do it different because raising children is the most important job, right?
And again, being a parent now, obviously I agree with that, right? And especially a father to a daughter, there are some things that, like I was listening to a comedian and it made me laugh. It's so true. He said, I had a son. He said, he's like, yes, I love my son. I love my son to death.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and I woke, the doctor handed me my son. He said, I would die. And he said, and I don't even know this dude, like the baby. Like, I don't even know. I know I would die for you. He said, but when I had my daughter, he said, oh no, I would kill for you.
Yes.
Different.
And I understand that sentiment 100%,
Girl dad.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's my girl. I'm father. I'm protector of her.
Mm-hmm.
And all this. And then beyond that, it's about making sure that I'm the type of dude that I would want my daughter to.
Oh, I
home,
love that.
right?
Please do that.
And that's hard.
Please
Because
do
there's
that.
sometimes you want to slip up. And
For real. And
like,
you got
oh,
those
man,
little
I
don't know.
eyes looking at you.
Yeah.
Callie was always just, you know how they say that you go through the teenage years and it's teenagers are like hell, but Callie was
Another
never.
backstory?
Callie was never, and she was good all the time. I mean, she threw screaming tantrums when she was 2, but she also wore cowboy hats and a diaper and cowboy boots and rode a dog.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
but
We're in the gamut.
but she was not normal. She
on the wild
was
side a little bit.
she was my son's worst nightmare is what she was. She was bossy and boom and
Sounds like me.
wah 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 wah. But yeah, they both turned out to be good kids. Different, completely different, like night and day.
Well, see, this was funny because you could grow up in the same household and you could sometimes get along like oil and water.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're perfect. Like me and my brothers, there are times when I feel like we are one human being.
Yes.
And then there are times where I feel like I have no idea how I'm related to this fool. Like, I'm so serious. And that's
Wait, is it fool or foo? Because my son called me a foo the other day.
No FOMO.
And I was like gonna be bigger than a raisin in his bowl of life.
No, like, okay, it could be fool. Maybe when I was
Foo.
younger.
Bro. When your kids call you bro, you're like,
what did Callie, you were there.
If my daughter ever calls me bro, I swear to God.
what?
But what did he say? You were there. He said, get over it, foo. Or you know what I mean? He was kidding.
Yeah.
But I don't there's no kidding when you foo your mom.
So my mom, I every now and then I'll call her by her first name just because I'm allowed. We have the relationship.
Yes.
And she's like, okay, Israel. I'm like, yes, mom.
Israel.
Yeah, full
Well, I got to
government.
get the point.
You know what I like is I just noticed this. I say Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Israel.
Yes.
Israel. Because there's
Okay.
AE.
AE. Yes.
That's why
Now
it's
I have
is.
okay. I've got to go because my life has been changed, and that's all we needed to do.
No, okay, so like my mom, she really, and that's one of her hangups because she's like, your name is Israel. Like, yes, ma'am.
That is how she says it.
It
yeah.
is. Like
I can hear her saying it.
Well, because okay, let me ask you this: is there spellings Isreal?
There are people that spell it that way, but
Yeah.
it depends. Like my mom,
Because I've never seen it like
my
that.
mom pulled my name directly from the Bible.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Israel.
like the country
Israel.
and that's how it was.
All your brothers' names.
Yes, exactly. There's no alternative spellings as far as she's concerned.
I named Jordan, my son Jordan, for the Jordan River. Because I wanted it to be biblical, but I also wanted it to be unisex. That's pretty hard to do with a biblical name. He was going to be the last one. So anyway, but he does have a little vial, I guess, or whatever, with the Jordan River water in it.
Very
That he has kept
cool.
all these years. Yeah.
Where'd you get it?
Aunt Char brought it back when she went to visit
Shout out to Aunt Char.
the Holy Land. So anyway,
Okay.
but his middle name, I shouldn't even say this, but his middle name is, I knew that he was going to be the last kid.
Yeah.
And so
You knew he was gonna be the last kid?
I knew he was going to be the last kid.
You said for sure. Like, I'm done.
Well, because
you said I already had the one, and
Listen,
we
Boo.
knew how that go. We knew how
Callie
that
was-
went, so
Callie
we don't
was-
need another one after this.
Callie was locked up, and she was my whole world.
Yeah.
She was my
Two.
whole world, this child.
Mhm.
And I know you guys with multiple kids know what I'm talking about, but I was so scared to have another one because I did not understand how I could have enough love for a second child when
Agreed.
I loved her more than anything. And my mother said, you will love your second child exactly the same but different.
Yeah.
And I looked at her like, you're getting crazy, foo.
Yeah.
No,
No.
But you know what's funny is her mom told her that, but my mom told me that.
yeah.
And it
Mhm.
makes
You know?
sense.
'Cause you
It's
do worry about those
momisms.
things.
But was it exactly true? Absolutely. But I had, between Callie and Jordan, I had 5 miscarriages. It was very, very difficult to go through.
Yeah.
So I had said, I have one child, God, and I thank you, God, in heaven, for blessing me. I don't need another child. And then I took a pregnancy test on Father's Day, and I was pregnant. And there was Jordan,
And you're not trying. You're trying.
who is my baby boy, light of my life, and I loved him exactly the same, but different.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because one of the things I remember thinking about it, after the fact, not even after I had my daughter, but just realizing, okay, we were talking about earlier, how could you grow up in the same household and be so different sometimes and be so similar? And it's because as a parent, you're going to love your kids the way they need you to love them. Right?
Or you hope so.
I'm always going to love like whole with everything that I have, but I recognize that, Israel needs more space because he's usually fine.
Right.
I recognize that,
knowing each child individually.
Exactly. Knowing each other individually and then meeting them where they are. So it's you're going to love them the same, but differently.
Right.
Because each kid's going to be different.
And,
Exactly.
so I do not subscribe to the short order cook theory of each kid gets to eat whatever they want to eat at dinner time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you eat what I put. You eat what I put on the table. That's the way I was raised. That's, sometimes but
Men,
when I'm
food and they'll be like, no. And they ask for what I made. I'm like, come on.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
see that's
I
one
wanted
thing.
chicken nuggets 5 minutes ago.
I grew up in that household where it's like, no, I made food. This is what we're eating.
This is what
I
you're
don't
eating.
want to eat my vegetables. Well, too bad.
Right.
You're eating the vegetables. That's just how it works.
So I've started saying,
Feed it
so
as
this is
a
why,
pancake.
so this is what I've started saying to my grandkids, Callie's kids, and that is, you are the kid.
You get what you
I am the boss. I'm the adult. You are the kid. You are the kid. Because it's that little change there, you know, that they have to realize, ew, you know what I mean? Anyway, but what I was going to say is, but like a short order cook, like feeding your children what they, you know, you feed them as a parent, you try to feed them what they need, not what they want.
Yeah.
And that's how you love them the same, but different, because your children are different. So, but I don't know how we totally got on all of this
We
stuff.
really do
Did we
change it.
talk about the challenge? What do we have another challenge for this week?
We do.
Yeah, what is it?
Why am I yelling?
I
Do we have another challenge?
Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. You know, maybe it's just to do something different with a positive impact.
Okay.
You know,
Hey, that's along
me-
the
give
lines of
an
Eat the
example.
Frog.
It is. It is.
maybe.
Because again, remember, okay, so last week it was again just beginning that positivity kind of internally, right? Like taking the 3 steps, like okay, thinking positive things as we're gonna do.
Starting your day off right.
So okay, eating the frog. Let's go ahead and like eat the frog, but in terms of like positivity. Are we doing like acts of kindness? Are we doing?
I mean, we could do that.
Maybe it's just change. Okay, wait. Let me tell you really super quick a 1-minute story about Cooper the Beagle.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, Cooper the Beagle. What's the famous beagle?
Cooper? No.
No,
Dude,
nobody
I
knows
don't
the famous
know.
beagle.
Let's not date you, Mom.
Snoopy is a beagle.
Snoopy's
Oh.
a beagle.
Yeah.
Okay. In all
Now you
fairness-
can go because you
in-
learned
okay,
something.
In all fairness, like
Snoopy
I'm not
is a
pet
beagle.
Person. I'm not a
Listen,
pet
Charlie
person.
Brown.
Okay, but
That is
Snoopy
not
is a beagle.
happening.
I just wanted to give you a reference so you
Okay,
could
Snoopy
visualize
beagle.
Cooper. Cooper was 8 years old and spent his whole life at the end of a 4-foot chain. No shelter, no bed, sporadically fed and watered, completely malnourished and soaking wet most of the time. But everybody that walked by, Cooper wagged his tail
Oh.
and wanted to be their friend.
Mhm.
Cooper the Beagle. One day, a stranger walked by and Cooper wagged his tail and wanted to be friends. And the stranger picked up the phone and got Cooper some help. And he was rescued and he was taken to the vet and he was made whole. And then from the shelter where he was taken, a newlywed couple adopted him and gave him his forever home
Oh.
right at Christmas time, where
Oh,
they had
look at
pictures
that.
of Cooper the Beagle eating treats and getting more love than he's ever had in his ever thought
Yeah.
of, right? Hey, a stranger. It was not a stranger. It
Mhm.
was just a friend he hadn't met yet,
I
right?
like it.
But they said, you know what? I don't know Cooper. I don't know the people that own Cooper, but I'm a friend of Cooper's. The exact words.
Mhm.
Oh, I love
I'm
that.
a friend of Cooper's and he needs help.
Yeah.
The smallest thing that
Yeah.
you think is small is life changing for Cooper and for other people, right?
Yeah.
So maybe
Okay.
it's just starting with, you know, just make a diligent effort to change the way you think. What can you do? Maybe
Yeah.
it's just identifying things in
Mhm.
everyday life that you can do. Maybe you don't do them right away.
Yeah, I mean,
Even it's something like smiling at somebody. You know?
I like-
Smiling.
yeah, you
And it's
smile
free.
more. I think just be a friendly face,
Yeah.
right? Be helpful or
Mhm.
offer help.
Turn
Yeah.
up the
Be
warmth,
warm.
Open the
Exactly.
door,
right?
Open the door for somebody,
Yeah.
right?
You'll never know. That can just change somebody's
I think
whole
that's a good
day.
challenge.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw this out there because as I'm 6'7", so as I'm in my daily life, I always get asked to get things off the top shelf.
Yeah.
Could someone volunteer to get something off the bottom shelf for me?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
I got just throwing it out there.
I will
If you
make
guys
that-
want to,
Listen.
I will
that's
make
great.
that my challenge. Wait,
I got bad knees
Okay,
sometimes.
but-
If you want to just
okay.
go ahead and just say, hey, brother, I'm going to help you out, and
but I had a back injury in the car accident.
You're
So
forgiven.
Callie,
you're
All
forgiven.
right.
Callie will get you
There you
something
go.
I
off
got you,
there.
brother.
If you're under like 5'6", 5'5", I think that if you could help me out and just get something off the bottom shelf, that could be your act of service
Okay,
and kindness.
I
That's
will
different
do
for
that.
you. Today.
Here's
As long as you tell me what the weather's like up there.
I will. It's usually breezy.
mean.
The rain hits
mean.
first, and I'll survive.
It's the same.
Is that the same as
in the valley?
when
Yes, it is.
you ask the kids, hey, what are you eating under there? And they say underwear.
That's a
My
throwback.
Uncle Kevin
That's
used to
a
say
throwback.
that,
I'm
and
a
we would
throwback
cry,
gal.
because
Yeah.
we would
Hey.
always put our hands
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this and cry. and
I
he
was a
would say
DJ
that.
for 30 years, so they can take the girl out of the radio,
Well, they
but
can't
not
do
radio out of the girl.
I get it.
Yes.
I get it.
Callie was and Jordan were both famous when they were young.
Yes.
They were on the radio. They were on commercials.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So
You should
Callie,
you should monetize for that.
Callie,
Yeah,
don't
I
let
mean-
that fame go to your head. Get something off the bottom shelf for us.
There you go. Thank you.
Israel.
Thank you. It's-
Israel.
I'm putting a call out for all tall people in the world. Help us,
Yes.
please.
Right.
Help us, please.
Okay.
Tall
Now,
people need love too.
now, what are we going to do? Remind them all of all the things that we hashtag up.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So again, at some point, we're gonna have to figure out where these
I know.
buttons are gonna go. But somewhere around here, like and
You
subscribe.
point up, I'll point down.
There we go. Up here, down there. Like and subscribe. Yeah, man. I think that's
Yes.
Okay.
If you have any stories, we want to hear from you too. And so, what is our email address?
I think it's nevermetastranger1@gmail.
Yep.
That's
I think
exactly what it is. Yep.
Nevermetastranger1@gmail. And
Or
again,
you can find us on Instagram.
we'll get the guys. Can you guys put it on the screen someplace? Yeah.
Yeah.
put it on the
And
screen.
remember,
I like it.
there are no strangers.
Just friends
That
we
you
haven't met yet.
And
So don't be a stranger.
All right.
don't be
Until
a
next
stranger.
time.
All right.
Bye bye.
It's a brand new day.